independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
As he touched down in London for his 3-day state visit, the president went on a Twitter attack against London Mayor Sadiq Khan. Trump calling Khan a, quote, stone-cold loser who has been, quote, foolishly nasty to the visiting president of the United States. Trump's comments are a response to a scathing op-ed Khan wrote in the British newspaper The Guardian, where the mayor likens Trump's actions to that of European dictators of the early 20th century. Khan then asked exiting Prime Minister Theresa May to issue a powerful rejection, not of the U.S., but of President Trump.
Very interesting. So it is a big deal. Let me tell you something. Having lived in Europe and lived in England for a very long time, we have the bond is special. Despite the fact that we had to kick their ass to gain our independence, the reality is it is a very special bond, and Trump's over there right now. And it is a big deal for him to be there. There's a lot of protests. There's also a lot of people that support Trump as well. But Sadiq Khan and him have not got along for a very long time. And he's been very outspoken. And he's the first Muslim mayor of a major city and, yada, yada, yada. And he fired the first, they fired back and forth for a while. When he first became the mayor, if they joke around, they call it Londistan. And he fired back the first few times. They had some volleys, and this was long ago. But Sadiq Khan, since this has been out there, has been very critical of this president. And Trump, as we all know, doesn't take these kind of things lying down.
Some of the things Donald Trump has done over the last 2-3 years, Londoners find abhorrent and offensive, rolling back the reproductive rights of women, separating children from their parents on the Mexican border, introducing a ban on Muslim-majority countries, standing up and defending white supremacists, neo-Nazis and anti-Semites in Charlottesville, amplifying messages from racists in this country, walking away from the Paris Climate Accord, and I could go on.
Yeah, well, they go on, right? Go on. Do what you got to do. Go on. Look, first of all, let's talk about the reproductive rights. Those are states' issues. Trump has nothing to do with that. All right? He can come out and say all of the things. Oh, well, he can come out and he got nothing to do with that. Secondly, we have played over and over again the whole Charlottesville thing, misspoken, bad. He needs to come out and be stronger, but no matter how strong he is, it doesn't matter because everybody's going to say he's got a dog whistle. The Climate Paris Accords, I was fine walking away from that. I think that thing was a joke, and the only one who was going to follow the rules by and large was us. Right? Let's be real. But it is, it wasn't just him. Trump then gets involved in the, there's a Meghan Markle controversy as well, and he wades into their politics.
In an interview with the Sun tabloid, he boldly weighed in on who should succeed outgoing Prime Minister Theresa May.
I think Boris would do a very good job. I think it'd be excellent. I like him very much.
Trump right there backing former Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson. And then there's President Trump's tiff with Meghan Markle, the American-born Duchess of Sussex, who he called nasty when an interviewer told him she'd publicly criticized him.
Yeah, and apparently there is some sort of audio, and I want to hear that, because if that's true, that's absolutely ridiculous. That is, Trump. This is where you need to stay away. But as we know with Trump, he lives for these things. He loves to fight. He loves to battle. He loves to scrap. He doesn't like political boxing. He likes a good old-fashioned street fight, but there's no reason to call her nasty. And apparently there's audio of it, except for the fact that nobody's heard it. But it's interesting to watch today. But we have a special relationship. The UK and us we are, in a lot of ways, we always say we are the same, separated by language only. Because they speak the kings, don't they? And the queens. And we speak some sort of gibberish here in America. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us all weekend long. It was nothing but insanity and craziness on all the talk shows. Yes, Mueller.
Bob Mueller had 22 months, $30 million, 19 lawyers, 40 FBI agents, 500 witnesses, 2,800 subpoenas. If he could have established obstruction, he would have done it.
Ah, good times. But he didn't. And therein lies the debate of to impeach or to not impeach. what to do, what not to do. But I will say this, over the weekend, watching several of the shows, the questions were being asked that I thought was right and things were firing back is, if you're going to do that, fine, go ahead and do that, right? If you think you've got enough to impeach him and there is a growing voice and a chorus of impeachment, I think we're up to 51 now of the 253 Democrats that impeach. That's still a long way away. But there are some questions being asked by people who've been quiet, even though they're supporters of the president, who are saying, we do have some questions that we would like answered as well.
I want to learn about why they didn't tell the FISA court. This is something I want to ask Bob Mueller if he ever comes and testifies. Did you actually explore the dossier?
And I think that's a very fair thing. I think it's absolutely a very fair question. And that's one of my things that I've been asking over and over again. I'm okay with going down the road of obstruction, finding out the things that you need to find out. Go ahead and do it, because I'm not going to sit here and battle this thing anymore, because I just don't think it's worth battling. If you think you need to impeach, then, somebody who was over the week was Jim Jordan or John Kennedy, our favorite, said, hey, why don't you guys go and buy a spine at Amazon? Again, he said that, and then do it. Then go ahead and do it, right? Like, if you're going to do it, you got to do it. Right? Can we all agree on that? If you're going to go for it, then you really got to go for it. You can't kind of half-ass it at all. It's got to be real. You've got to go for it hard. Meghan McCain talked about it.
I will say, if you take this kill shot, Democrats, you better not miss. Yeah. You better hit his jugular, and if there's even a finger still moving at the end of it, you're going to ruin your chances in 2020.
Let me say
this. So you better do this well if you're going to do it.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, you better do it well. What's the old saying? You're going to hit the king, you better kill the king. I think that's very real, but they want to make sure that everybody understands.
She doesn't mean...
I don't mean literally. Yes. I'm so sorry. Oh, my God.
Yeah. How we get people start attacking.
Oh, my God. I mean, like, a metaphorical. I'm a hunter and a shooter. I'm sorry if that metaphor is wrong. Yeah. And I talk like a redneck, so sorry. But I will say you have to successfully do this. Yeah. If you're going to impeach him, you have to impeach him. It can't just be proceedings that don't end up successful. Yeah. And again, please don't take that the wrong way. If you're going to swing,
you have to hit the ball.
Thank you, Joy, for doing a better metaphor. Thank you very much.
There you go. So if you're going to swing, again, if you're going to hit the king, you better kill the king. Last week, Pelosi said he wants impeachment. He's begging for it. He knows why. Come ahead and impeach. Go ahead and do it. He is all for it because he understands what ends up happening there, right? If you do it, if you go and impeach and you fail, then what? You're going to look like you've overreached and it was a witch hunt, and this game that's going on is going to make people go, I don't like this at all. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Very interesting. So on Friday, there was a shooting. Originally, like everything, we're waiting for the politics, and the politics happened fast, and then it died down quick. And you're not going to hear a ton about the crazy politics of this because he was black and he used a handgun. So you're not going to hear the things that you would normally hear in a situation like this because he purchased it legally. But so even over the weekend, they were asking all like the Gildebrands and the Swalwells and everybody else, what could have been done to prevent it? And they all finally said nothing. It's not a thing. There's not a thing that can be done in a situation like this. Why he did it is the question. Was there mental illness? I don't know. Was it roid rage? Because everybody kept saying he was swole. For those of you who don't know, he was yoked. He was built. He was huge. They said he lifted weights all the time. Is the lady that lives downstairs from him said at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you hear him dropping weights. And he seemed to be obsessed with bodybuilding. But we're in that mystery side again.
People who know him, people who worked with him, people who spoke with him that morning couldn't really understand where this came from. Many said there was no glaring warning, and police themselves said that they didn't have any real problems or issues to identify that he had at work.
Yeah, and that was just it. I mean, like everything, you start examining stuff. Was he fired? Was he not fired? What was going on? He'd been there 15 years. By all accounts, a pretty model employee. He had no felonies. There was not a warning sign.
The morning of the massacre, he handed in his letter of resignation. So basically decided to quit and officially quit on the day that he came back with those 2 handguns, extended magazines, and a silencer and carried out that massacre.
And it was awful. Again, 13 people dead, 3 are still critical in the hospital. But what you're not going to see is the politicking of it all, because the narrative is if we just take away this gun right here, everything will be so much better. If we do more of these kind of checks, everything will. Well, guess what? It wouldn't have stopped this. It didn't fit a narrative. So as fast as it came, the minute there was no narrative to push in certain situations, we'll ignore it. We'll move on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a phenomenal weekend. Oh, kids. They asked people who burglar homes, if you will, people who are thieves. They asked them, say, what is it that you do? What's the first thing you do? They go, we knock. If somebody's home, we know it's not an easy thing. Burglars want the easiest thing out there, right? That's the way anybody's. The path of least resistance, that's where Blink Home Security comes in, because it is not the least resistance. It is the most resistance. Blink XT2 cameras are amazing. They're motion detected, right? So anybody gets near your camera, boom, it goes on. You get the Blink smartphone app, you get a video clip, and there's a 2-way talk feature that lets you talk to who's ever there. From telling delivery guy, hey man, just leave the package, we'll have somebody pick it up, to the kids, hey, come on in, we're totally fine, to somebody saying, hey, get away from my house or I'm going to call the police. It's that simple. With Blink cameras, it's like you're always home. Wire-free, set up in minutes, run on 2 lithium batteries, last up to 2 years, and Blink XT2 cameras start under $100 with no contracts, no subscriptions, totally affordable. Thanks to Blink, Home Security just got easier. Visit BlinkProtect.com/Benson. That's BlinkProtect.com/Benson. BlinkProtect.com/Benson. Blink cameras are available on Amazon, Best Buy. Blink is an Amazon company, and it works with Alexa. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson, Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you all to rise and drink a toast to President and Mrs. Trump, to the continued friendship between our 2 nations, and to the health, prosperity, and happiness of the people of the United States.
One day all drink a toast, but don't worry, because our president was there to also toast thine queen and the people of the United Kingdom.
On behalf of all Americans, I offer a toast to the eternal friendship of our people, the vitality of our nations, and to the long-cherished and truly remarkable reign of Her Majesty, the Queen.
Long live the Queen! Long live the Queen! Pomp and circumstance at its best, man. We do it good, but woo! The Queen, man, she knows what she's doing. Like, we're like the Kansas City Royals, right? Still Major League Baseball, right? But we're not the Yankees. When it comes, they do it right. They do. The pomp and circumstance there is pretty damn good. We're still friends, despite the disdain that everybody has for Trump. We are still friends and shall remain so. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Check us out on the Instagram as well. Usually try to post a couple things a day on the gram. I'm getting better at it, but there's just a lot of social media out there, and I just it's a lot. You know, it's just sometimes it's how I feel about social media. Each and every day at this time, we like to make you smile a little bit. We like to give to you a little bit of love from us. It's called our Urban Word of the Day.
It's time for the Urban Word of the Day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban Word of the Day.
Deep like. Ooh, deep like. Yeah. It's when you like somebody, find them on the social, right? The gram, something like that, and you go deep. Going back as far as you can, looking at all of the stuff that's out there. You're going to go deep, 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 deep in trying to find all of their pictures so you can like them And then you start looking, you go, wow, this person went back 3 years to like a picture I was in. That's crazy. You're either a stalker or you really like somebody. Deep like, your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you.
That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
It's a trend that's been underway for the past month or so. Gas prices inching back down by about 2 pennies in the past week. The Energy Department reporting the average price of regular unleaded nationwide is at $2.81 a gallon now. The cheapest gas is along the Gulf Coast at $2.42 a gallon. The most expensive is in California at $3.83 a gallon for regular unleaded.
Yeah. Gas is finally coming down, and we're going to see this trend all the way through till Labor Day. It'll creep up a little bit, and then, of course, we'll have the shutdown as they switch over into a different blend, and they'll say, oh, something's wrong with the refineries, and stuff's offline, and that's why you'll see gas prices creep back up, and then they'll start to tail off again, and we'll feel this all the way through until next year, Memorial Day. It is cyclical. It does the same thing, and is very predictable. Barring anything crazy, you're going to expect the gas prices to stay steady and slowly but surely come down over and over again over the next several weeks and months. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from you. We'll talk a little immigration. We're going to talk boxing. Yeah, boxing. I know it's crazy, right? It's a pugilist, right? It's a sport, right? The sweet science, they call it. The kids call it. Just not MMA, right? Because MMA is totally different than boxing, even though they're both fighting sports. But over the weekend, a guy climbed into the ring. And climb being we're just like, he struggled to get in the ring based on his looks, but he shocked the world and won. We're going to talk about that and just how hilarious it is. And everybody's poking fun over a guy who, while maybe not the fittest looking guy in the world, is definitely still fit. And now he's world champion. We're also going to talk about immigration as well. And, of course, the shooting in Virginia and why nobody seems to care, and yet we're only 72 hours removed from it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Check out the Instagram as well. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
That's the tragedy of it all. Less than 1 month that I had to come to the floor and speak on tragedy of one shooting, and now we have another.
That right there is the one and only Chuck Schumer. Wants a vote. Darn it, he wants a vote.
Leader McConnell should call a vote on universal background checks now.
Yes, do it. Because this guy totally got his gun illegally.
The weapons were obtained legally. Everything was done in a legal manner by this individual.
This story, remember how big it was Friday? We were talking about it, right? When it first started, there wasn't too much information. A few people taken to the hospital. Then by the end of the night, it was 12. Eventually, 13 people are dead, including the shooter. And you're in a situation where you stand back, he's like, oh my God. And then you find out a few things that don't fit the narrative of the news. And so it just slowly but surely goes away because there's nothing there, right? There's got to be something there. And there's nothing. Guy, by and large, had a few issues, right? With a few employees, but no more than the average person. And so you look out there and you say to yourself, like, okay, so there's got to be something, right? Because there's got to be a narrative. Why didn't he have an AR-15? Why didn't he have an AR-15? Was he bullied? Was he the white guy? Was he this? Was he that? You have to have all of these narratives because the media needs something to push. It was just an awful thing. It doesn't matter what kind of gun it is. It's a horrible thing, but you're not going to stop all of them. And the question is going to still remain right now because people are looking around going, all right, so now we get down to it. Is there a manifesto? Is there something out there?
We do not know the motive yet. We know he was a longtime city employee. He apparently quit via email the day of the shooting. That's obviously being looked at. But again, no clear motive as to why he went to the place that he went to work so many days and looked at his colleagues and then killed many of them.
Yeah. Was he mentally disturbed? Right? I mean, what I've heard so far, I don't know. And I don't want to know anything other. I don't know if he's got a manifesto. I don't want any of that stuff. I don't want that to be out there. I want none of those things. And I don't think anybody else does either, because the media is starting to realize that these are things that just can't happen because it spurs people on to try and outdo each other.
There's some research, and we've done some of our own here at ABC News, where some of these mass shooters were literally studying previous mass shooters, in some cases to see if they could outdo each other. But I think the ultimate question that America has to ask itself is, are we okay with this? There were a lot of people that thought after Newtown, when all those elementary school children were killed in the fashion that they were killed, that would be the thing that would change the national conversation about what to do about gun violence. It did not.
No, but this wouldn't have stopped Friday. None of that. Newtown wouldn't have stopped Friday. This guy had 2 handguns that he purchased legally. He had no criminal background, right? He had the usual MO. Was a loner, didn't seem to smile too much, kept to himself. The only other thing that they said is he was swole. He lifted a lot of weights. He was yoked. Outside of that, didn't seem to be a lot. His wife left him several years ago. But, I mean, that wouldn't have stopped any of this. It wouldn't have stopped any of this. And it's awful that this happened. But I said on Friday, you watch. If they find out it's not the gun that fits the narrative, or the MO of the shooter doesn't fit a narrative, it's going to disappear and we won't hear much about it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. The president is in the UK, England, hanging out with the Queen, doing stuff that you do with the Queen, smiling a little bit, having fun, big state dinner, and of course tomorrow's going to go hang out with Theresa May, but he's got to go through the crowds and throngs of protesters.
Tomorrow he will be going to number 10 Downing Street, the official residence of Prime Minister Theresa May, and in order to get through there he will be going quite close to Parliament Square, which is the spot where the protesters are expected to gather, so we expect to see a lot of people there.
Yeah, there probably will be a lot of resist. You saw a lot of that. You saw some other stuff. A kid mowed a penis, a phallic symbol, into something when the Trump flew over into the airport. I don't know where he landed. I don't know which one, if he landed at Heathrow or outside, but I'm assuming that's where he landed, or if he landed at a military base and it was there and it said something about climate change. And this is what they're professional protesters are out there, and they're going to do that. But he is not hated as much as people think, right? As much as people think, he is not hated. He has as much love as he does hate. He evokes tons of emotion, right? Even over there, he evokes tons of emotion. And the thing is, if you have a disdain for President Trump, you have a better chance of getting on television than if you like President Trump. And if you like President Trump, you'll get on television only if they can tell everybody what a horrible human being you are.
This country is actually quite split, although, of course, London is a very liberal city. There's a lot of people who are expected to show up to big protests planned for tomorrow. But there are a lot of Brits here who are very pleased that President Trump is here. They want Britain to project a tone of friendliness and welcoming to the American president, and they're not happy with the protests which are scheduled for tomorrow.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. But they all have jobs, so they're going, a lot of these protesters, they're professional protesters. I've often wondered, when I was in Palm Springs, so Obama flew out on more than a few occasions. And if you've never been, and there was Xi Jinping came out for a big meeting, and it was a trade summit or something. So it was massive. It was crazy. And I literally lived probably 500 yards away from where they entered into where they were staying for a couple days. And it's a place where Kennedy and pretty much every president stays when they go out to Palm Springs. And so it was very interesting to see all of the security and the insanity. And I'm like, it's a Tuesday, and who are all these people that don't have jobs that show up to protest? It was just insane. It was just insane. And that's what you're going to get out there. They can resist all they want. It is what it is. I don't have to like the way that Trump handles some of the stuff, but you're going to get that. And there are people out there that like him, but you know what? You're going to get on television for what? Like, even now, when you see people who are conservatives that are on any other channel that's not Fox talking about Trump, 99 times out of it's 100, who is it? It's a conservative that can't stand Trump. That's who gets on TV. Right? The Anna Navarros of the world, you know, and I love all of the love that they give John McCain, while all the while when he was running for president, they destroyed him. But because he even resisted in death, he just gets more love. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. All right, let's have some fun. Over the weekend, a guy by the name of Andrew Ruiz Jr. won a boxing match. He is now the heavyweight champion of the world. He has all 3 belts. First Mexican to win the heavyweight championship of the world. He was born in Imperial, California. The dude, how should I say this to be kind? Nutritionally overachieves. You would not say that he's not Atlas. How's that? Right? There's just nothing about it. But over the weekend, he won, and he beat Joshua, who's the Madison Square Garden had 20,000 people, of which 18,999 were British people that had flown over to root him on, to thump this guy. And it was a shocker, to say the least. But again, does not, he eats a Snicker bars for every fight. He's supposedly 6'2", 6'1", 268 pounds. I'm thinking he's closer to about 3 bills.
Joshua with the hard jab. Trying to answer, but he's shaking. He's down again. Wow. Joshua looks gassed. Mouthpiece came flying out of his mouth.
6, 7, 8.
He's been down 4 times.
Hey, turn around. You can.
Joshua turning to his corner. He's got to be careful here. He's got to stay engaged. Where is his mouthpiece?
Ready to box?
Joshua looks so tired. I think he wants out. That's it. He says that's it. Andy Ruiz is the heavyweight.
We've been working really hard, man, really hard. And I wanted to prove everybody wrong. All the doubters thinking that I was going to lose.
Oh, I mean, he just wrecked 100 years of physical fitness. Jack LaLanne is out of business. Out of business. Right. You don't want to look like this. No. You want to look like this. Sure. And you can look like this, and you can be heavyweight champ of the world.
Teddy Atlas. And if you've not seen him, Joshua looks like a man mountain. He's everything that is perfection. He's yoked. He's ripped. The 6-packs, the whole 9 yards. And then you look over and you see Ruiz Jr. And Ruiz Jr. looks like he's probably 50 pounds overweight, and but he's not out of shape. It's a totally different world, right? He got knocked down, he got up, and then laid the hammer to a guy who was a 12-1 favorite. It was awesome. It was just awesome. Imagine spending that money too, coming over, celebrating, partying if you're English, only to find out your guy gets thumped by that guy. Oh, goodness me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from each and every one of you. You can check us out on the old Instagram as well. We like the gram, kids. Doesn't mean I'm good with it, but we like the gram. We try. That's our thing, is we're trying. Now, if you have iTunes, what will you be doing?
It was 2001. Maybe you were listening to...
Tell me how you feel about this.
At the time, there was all kinds of debate about what exactly was legal when it came to sharing music online. Then iTunes came along. It was locked down, making stealing music more difficult.
This is the best way to manage your music.
It was designed as a place to bring together all of your music.
Rip, mix, and burn.
Now, 18 years later, most of us stream our music. Apple is saying goodbye to iTunes, instead unveiling Apple Music to replace it, focused on streaming content.
So iTunes is going away, and producer Phil and I were like, so what if you purchased all these things? Do you get to keep them? Do you get to put them somewhere? Do they stay on your thing? Do they switch over to something else as they unveil all of this? Because that's what we do. We stream now. It shows you, though, and this is something that I think business-wise you have to understand, how it's totally different than our parents' generation, than even parts of our generation, is the fact that you can have a successful business. So your business can go out of business, yet it can be successful. Your business can be, hey, my business is great. Like, I came up with this. It was amazing. It was uber successful. We made a ton of money out of it. But because of how fast it goes, you only have a shelf life for so long, especially in the technology world. Because when I was growing up, man, you were going to work you're going to work a few jobs in your life, right? Because mom and dad worked a few jobs. Grandma and grandpa, maybe grandpa had a job, maybe two, and changing a job was huge. Now, you may have 3 jobs in 3 years, and 2 of those places would have been successful, but you were taken over by somewhere else, and that technology is obsolete now because they've rolled it into something else. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. MyPillow, I've had it for a few years now, and I got to say something. I love it. I love it. I had problems sleeping. I don't anymore. My pillows would go, become flat, and you toss and you turn, you have a sore neck. Don't have anything to worry about with MyPillow. You know the story, right? 10-year warranty, made in the USA, 100% machine washable and dryable cotton. Try it out. You got nothing to lose right now. There's a 60-day money-back guarantee with MyPillow. And I will tell you this. What they're giving you right here for my listeners, they've never done before. You're going to get 2-pack of premium pillows for less than $70. It's that simple. You just call, you order it, you go online, you order it. You're going to get 2 premium pillows for $34.99 each. It's amazing. Go to MyPillow.com, use the promo code Benson or call 800-983-4975. It's 800-983-4975. Make sure you use my promo code, which is Benson. 2 premium pillows, less than $70, 60-day money-back guarantee, free shipping. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
This is Godzilla's world. We just live in it. It was also Godzilla's weekend at the box office. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, debuted in first as expected, but with a less than expected $49 million or so. Overseas numbers were also softer than predicted. The Elton John biopic Rocket Man opened in third with an estimated $25 million, both in line with pre-release tracking.
There's something off about Ma.
Seriously? The thriller Mob out in fourth.
Yep. I went and saw Brightburn over the weekend. It was kind of like the what-if scenario. Low budget. Elizabeth Banks starred in it, but it's the what-if scenario if Superman came down and Superman decided, hey, I don't really like you guys. And but from the perspective of the kid who's only like 12, but he's Superman and he's evil. So it's very interesting. I enjoyed it. It's kind of creepy, actually. It was really creepy. It was very creepy, but it was a quiet weekend. Godzilla, what I've heard is a mishmash of stuff. Not the best, and definitely not as good as the last Godzilla. So, and when you spend $170 million, so like Brightburn and Ma cost $5 million, made $18 million this weekend. It'll probably make $50 million here and $50 million worldwide. It costs probably $10 million total with advertising and everything. And you look at something like Godzilla, and you spend $170 million plus on it. And you're going to at least do that with advertising and all this kind of stuff. Tough to make your money back. Speaking of money, yo.
It's disturbing what I grow. Not disturbing if you're actually Jay-Z, who Forbes says is the first hip-hop billionaire. In a new cover story on the music and tech mogul, the magazine says his net worth conservatively totals $1 billion, with investments in Uber, liquor, his streaming service Tidal, and more. And if you thought Dr. Dre was the first billionaire rapper, Forbes says, not so fast. Dre only worth $850 million.
But here's the great thing. I want you guys to think about this for a second. 2 guys, opposite ends of the country, grew up in tough situations, took the things that they knew, took the street savvy and the smarts that they had, funneled it into music and just busted their ass, built something and saw something bigger beyond even that, and built something that's incredible. And both of them are massive successes, only in America. Right? Don King said it, only in America. I absolutely believe it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Breaking news, judge has rejected Democrats' effort to block Trump's border emergency. Essentially, what it says is they were trying to stop spending funds to build the wall along the southern border. The House argued expenditures would violate the appropriations clause of the Constitution too and usurp Congress's authority. But this judge says, nope, not so fast. So, again, it'll be appealed, and they'll continue to go, and everything that's going to happen from here on out, whether it's immigration, doesn't matter what it is, it's going to go all the way up to the highest court in the land, because that's what we do. We like lawsuits. Think about it. We've got lawyers who build laws, who run the country, so it would just be easy to say and obvious to say that that's what's going to happen when you got that many lawyers in politics. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. We should Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love to hear from you. Check out the Instagram. Got something funny on there. It's on Facebook as well. The Chad Benson Show. It is Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you all to rise and drink a toast.
I will.
To President and Mrs. Trump.
Okay.
To the continued friendship between our two nations.
Yes.
And to the health, prosperity, and happiness of the people of the United States.
Trump hanging out in the UK. People are mad at him for being there. Don't come here. You're a horrible human being, Trump. Blah, 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 blah. Don't care. He's there, state dinner, celebrating the 75th anniversary and memorializing D-Day landing and what took place and the love that we have for each other, right? So big state thing tonight, not just the Americans there, but obviously Trump is the biggie, right? So the Queen and Trump hanging out, doing their thing. Big state, hello, of course, yes, Trump got a chance to give a toast.
On behalf of all Americans, I offer a toast to the eternal friendship of our people, the vitality of our nations, and to the long-cherished and truly remarkable reign of Her Majesty, the Queen.
The Queen? But it can't be Trump goes somewhere and not have controversy. He called the mayor a loser. And everybody's like, he called the mayor a loser. What is amazing is the fact that the media all over, how dare Trump? Why would Trump do that? It just hammering Trump. And there's a lot that you can hammer Trump for, right? I got no problem with that. But he is your president. You know, when Michelle Obama and President Obama would go overseas and you'd hear other people hammer him, I would get so pissed off because you know what? We can have disagreements here, but that's still our president. That's still our first lady. So shut your pie holes, right? I remember when Hugo Chavez went to the UN and just tore apart Bush and that he could smell the sulfur as if the devil was there. And I forgot who it was who got up there, who couldn't. It was on the other side of the aisle, obviously, a Democrat who just tore him apart. How dare you come to our country and say those things? Every once in a while, we need that. You may not like Trump, and you may want Trump to fall, even though you live for him to be on your television because you love the ratings that he brings you. But everybody's like, how dare he say this about Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London? Well, dare I say that over the weekend, he fired the first shot, and they've gone back and forth for more than a year plus. for more than a year plus. But everybody likes their 15 minutes of fame that they can grab on the president. And before the president even landed, he did an op-ed piece, and he sat down and he spoke on one of those Sunday shows in England.
Some of the things Donald Trump has done over the last 2-3 years, Londoners find abhorrent and offensive, rolling back the reproductive rights of women.
By the way, just to give you guys, that is a states thing. All right, but continue.
Separating children from their parents on the Mexican border.
I will say, wasn't a big fan of that. I'll give you that, right? I'll give you that, but I don't think people in London are going, oh, I don't like Trump being here because of that.
Introducing a ban on Muslim-majority countries, standing up and defending.
Now, before you get, the ban of Muslim-majority countries where they've identified the fact that there are ISIS and Al-Qaeda allowing people to come here willy-nilly and asking for a moratorium while we try to figure out a better way to vet people to come here is not an awful thing. We have every right to defend our damn borders. We do. We absolutely do. Continue. I'm sorry, Sadiq.
White supremacists, neo-Nazis, and anti-Semites in Charlottesville amplifying messages from racists in this country, walking away from the Paris Climate Accord, and I could go on.
Well, then go on. But Trump likes to fight. He's going to give as good as he gets. He wants, tomorrow he and Theresa May, who's the prime minister, at least for now, he wants a good rebuttal from her and a good resistant kind of conversation to make sure that, everybody knows that they're resisting, and you see resist everywhere. There's going to be protesters everywhere. Protesters wherever the president goes, does not matter. Doesn't matter who the president is. I've seen it firsthand. It's crazy. Even with Obama, I saw lunatic protesters everywhere and some just kooks, right? Because it's just a carnival-like atmosphere when you get two world leaders together. But Sadiq Khan, you know what? It's the way I feel. I lived in London for a while, a very long while. I loved it. And I look at England as my second home, right? And I am as, I always tell everybody, when America would do anything, I'm all behind America because I'm American first and foremost, and I love my country. But when I was in England, if they weren't playing America, or if it was the Olympics, I was behind the British. I was as British as anybody else. Flying the Union Jack, loving the Three Lions, right? But it's just this kind of stuff. And what's his name? Faulty Towers, John Cleese, is being hammered for the fact that he said, I don't even recognize, this isn't Britain anymore, right? This isn't London's, this isn't London, this isn't England anymore. It's been hammered. You're a racist for moving. How dare you say something like that? And he's kind of doubled down on it as well. He's like, yeah, whatever. Get over it. That's why I'm leaving, right? That's why I'm leaving. You got to watch what you say nowadays. Got to watch what you tweet. But then you get to a certain age like him and you're like, I could care less. I'm leaving this country. I'm out of here. Right? I'm out of here. Bye-bye. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Of course, we still have the battle that is the tariffs and immigration going on.
He's absolutely deadly serious. In fact, I fully expect these tariffs to go on to at least the 5% level on June 10th. The president is deadly serious about fixing the situation at the southern border.
I don't know what he's going to fix at this point in time. He won a court battle today against the Democrats who were trying to stop him taking funds that weren't allocated for the wall, and they upheld the president's want. And the judge says, yeah, he can do this. And they're like, no, no. He said, you can do this, and this will be appealed. The battle is on. My question, and I've talked to a few Congress people, talked to Schweikert last week, of Arizona, and I said, hey, how do we measure this as far as success and no success? I mean, when do we say we could take the 5% off, and when do we say that we've got to add it up to 10%? Because they say it could go as high as 25%? Adding 5% every month? And my question is okay, so how do we grade this thing out? When do we look and say, here are the measurables? If you stop 20%, compared to what came over and crossed illegally last month, then we'll keep it off. If it rises 10 or 20%, we're going to add another 5% on it. How do we go about figuring out that? I mean, because we seem to be big on talk, but short on details. And I like details because that's where the devil lives.
The numbers are huge. The situation is real, and the president is deadly serious about fixing the problem.
And I don't know. And I don't know if that is going to happen. I don't know if you're going to fix this problem with that. I don't think it's a good thing that you're looking at this in this direction. I just don't think it is. I think there's a better way of going about doing it, right? Portions of the wall. But fixing the asylum, and you ask just about anybody, the asylum law, you change that, you change the entire thing. You change that, you change the entire thing. But that's not going to happen anytime soon. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. Over the weekend, the talking head shows were talking a lot. And people were still asking a question last week about Mueller. Mueller.
Bob Mueller had 22 months, $30 million, 19 lawyers, 40 FBI agents, 500 witnesses, 2,800 subpoenas. If he could have established obstruction, he would have done it.
Would he have? I don't know. Don't know the guy, right? Is it possible? Yeah, I think it's possible. I think he doesn't want to. I continue to think that the more you read, the more you think about it, the more you talk to people, the last thing that he wants to do is be in a situation where he's got to answer questions from both sides that are going to make him completely uncomfortable, in particular, new questions that he may not have answers for when it comes to how did we get to this position.
I want to learn about why they didn't tell the FISA court. This is something I want to ask Bob Mueller if he ever comes and testifies. Did you actually explore the dossier?
I think it's fair. I think it's a fair question to ask. How did we get to this point? And whether or not we get there through a subpoena and Bob Mueller and the Republicans getting on board with that, right? Or if there's going to be other people brought into this from the FBI. That remains to be seen, but I wouldn't doubt it. I think at some point in time it's going to happen. I just don't think he wants to answer it. Because while he does not like the president, he may have to answer some uncomfortable questions about the FBI that he wants probably no part of, and maybe put some people under a bus that the bus was already going in that direction. He just made sure they couldn't get out of the way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Still nothing.
Investigators searching for a motive behind the Virginia Beach mass shooting. Just hours before the massacre, Dwayne Craddock giving his 2 weeks notice, saying in this newly released email, "It has been a pleasure to serve the city, but due to personal reasons, I must relieve my position." The email only adding to the deepening mystery of what triggered the horror.
Shots fired, second floor.
The gunfire erupting at 4:08 p.m. Friday. The shooter, police say, armed with 2 handguns, extended magazines, and a silencer.
Yeah, still don't know. Doesn't fit the narrative, so it's the reason, we're 72 hours removed from it. If this was a situation where somebody used an AR-15 and all of these, some sort of gun that everybody deems to be the evil thing in the world, never once again pointing at the person, we'd be in a situation where what? It would be gun control, gun control, gun control, gun control, gun control. Let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. But handguns are kind of off limits. You hear them all the time. We don't want to take away your handguns. We don't want to take away your shotguns or your rifles. We want to take away this gun. So it goes away. This guy bought this gun legally. By all accounts, minus the fact that he was a little odd, much of a loner, which you can kind of see if you want to draw up the, what does a person look like who goes and does something like this, tends to be that. A loner, bit odd, kind of gruff, doesn't smile, very much keeps to himself, essentially withdraws away from society. And when you see somebody who maybe makes a big move, you can start putting things together, like quitting. But some people say he had issues with other coworkers, but he wasn't it doesn't sound like he's being investigated for anything. He's not a felon. He has no criminal record. And by all accounts, at least we don't see there's any kind of manifesto or anything. So is this another one of the things like Las Vegas where we may never know? It's possible. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Oh, man, so much stuff. We're trying to squeeze it all. We're a squeezer of stuff. Squeezer of stuff. We'll see if we can do it. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Have a second cup, or a third, or a 25th. Your heart can handle that Java jolt. New research from Queen Mary University of London questioning past research that seemed to indicate that coffee could stiffen arteries and increase the risk of heart attack or stroke. They tested thousands of coffee drinkers in the UK. The heaviest coffee drinkers downed an average of 5 cups a day. But at least one tested drank as many as 25 cups a day. The finding, no link between coffee consumption and stiffer arteries. The findings related to both regular coffee and decaf.
Yeah. I don't drink that much coffee. Oh, wait, I don't drink any coffee. In fact, I don't think I've ever had a cup of coffee. I've tasted coffee ice cream, and I thought it was the most vile thing I've ever tasted. I was like, oh, God, this is just vile. But no, I don't want any of that. I like tea, though. Right? I drink a lot of tea. Do I drink 25 cups of tea? Probably not. But I do drink a lot of tea, and it's good to know that that's not, I'm assuming it's a lot of it has to do with the caffeine. 25 cups, though, man, it's like, is that my mom? Because that's something like my mom would do. My mother loves coffee. 120 degrees outside. She's like, I like a nice hot coffee. Maybe some iced coffee. I'm like, oh, goodness me. Yeah, but coffee. So if you're a coffee drinker out there, it is all good, kids. It's all good. Enjoy your coffee. It's not going to kill you, at least according to this study. Now, we all know that there are other studies out there, right? We all know that. But according to this study, you are right. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Immigration, the battle is going on and on and on, and it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And we continue to talk about the fact that first of all, I'm not a huge fan of these tariffs. And secondly, I think this is vitally important. We got to fix the amnesty rules. We absolutely must fix the amnesty rules. It has to happen. It does. Watching those 1,000 people pour across the border the other day 1,000 people came into your country. We don't know who any of these people are. And within a couple days, and in some cases hours, they're going to be released into our country. That is not a winning situation. That is not how you control your border and your country, regardless of why they came here.
Most of them are fleeing violence or huge economic hardship. So they feel it's better to travel 1,000 miles and dangerous, maybe in the hands of coyotes, than stay home.
Yeah. But what do? We're giving money to Guatemala. It's funny. I read a great article talking about, we're trying to help Guatemala and we're giving them money, except for the UN has a big report out saying that they are one of the most corrupt governments from top to bottom. From the smallest municipality worker that they have all the way up to the top, it is just nothing but corruption. Why are we throwing that kind of money away? What are we getting? What's our ROI, return on investment? Nothing. Nothing. It's putting pressure on our services, our schools, our communities, especially throughout the Southwest. And it's a joke. Let's fix the amnesty rule. Let's figure out what we need to do to help these countries get on some steady ground. But this is ridiculous. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Tomorrow, he will be going to number 10 Downing Street, the official residence of Prime Minister Theresa May. And in order to get through there, he will be going quite close to Parliament Square, which is the spot where the protesters are expected to gather. So we expect to see a lot of people there.
Yeah, a lot of people will be protesting Trump in England, in Great Britain, visiting with the Queen. Saw today, very interesting, the special relationship we have, which is obviously from where we came from, right? And then our victory over the British to gain our freedom, but then our close relationship has remained, and it's a special relationship. There is nobody closer than us two. We are that close. I lived there on and off for a decade. I still think of myself at times as a Brit, and it's a beautiful place, an amazing place. And, here's the thing with Trump. Trump is one of those people where he evokes emotion. Because as much as we hear on television, minus Fox, how much everybody hates him.
This country is actually quite split, although, of course, London is a very liberal city. There's a lot of people who are expected to show up to big protests planned for tomorrow. But there are a lot of Brits here who are very pleased that President Trump is here. They want Britain to project a tone of friendliness and welcoming to the American president, and they're not happy with the protests which are scheduled for tomorrow.
Yeah. So, and there'll be lots of them. And the resist, there was a kid who drew a penis or mowed a penis as Trump came in, and, about climate change, all of this stuff. I mean, he evokes emotion. You either hate him or you love him and you're in his camp. There's very little in between with Trump, So it'll be interesting. And Meghan Markle, of course, is not going to be there. Is he going to meet with Sadiq Khan? Probably not. So there's a lot of interesting stuff. And he's a big fan of Boris Johnson, who has the potential to, first of all, he looks like the blonde-headed Beatle, right? If the Beatles had blonde hair back, and that's what he looks like. And, he likes Nigel Farage and those outspoken people. And Theresa May is going to be leaving. He's going to be at 10 Downing Street tomorrow, which is where the Prime Minister lives. That's their White House. And he wants a big rebuttal. I would like her to come out and say that he's a horrible person, but still we love America, Sadiq Khan. But he loves these kind of things. It's big, it's pomp, it's circumstance. His family's all dressed up. Everybody looks good. And he still has a chance to be a fighter because he loves to get down in the dirt and fight. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet on us. Love hearing from you. By the way, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, communism. This year marks 100 years since communism began.
Street by street and building by building, the Bolsheviks took over.
The first revolution was in Russia.
In those fantastic days, the sun seemed to have risen at last.
No longer would capitalists exploit workers. Now the people would prosper together under Lenin.
Yeah, that's it, right? Remember that how great that was going to be? The people are going to prosper together. It's going to be a wonderful thing. And we talk about it because of look what's going on right now, right? If you look and see what's happening right now, is you've got a very progressive, and you saw it this weekend in California as the Democrats all got together. You've got this really huge progressive thing that's happening there, this movement, and they're moving further and further left. In fact, this is John Hickenlooper, right, talking about socialism at the California. He's a Democrat running to beat Trump, talking about socialism in California in front of a ton of Democrats as they all go there to try to win the hearts and minds of the uber progressive.
If we want to beat Donald Trump and achieve big progressive goals, socialism is not the answer. I was reelected in a purple state in 2014, one of the worst years for Democrats in a quarter century. If we're not careful, we're going to end up helping to reelect.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. You said it was not good. You said it was bad. You said it was bad. How dare you say that? It's great. Socialism's great. And when you hear people talk and argue about socialism, you hear a lot of things like, well, you guys just don't get it. They're not doing it right.
Some people resisted, so Lenin ordered them killed. You need to hang without fail, he said, so the public sees the death of the rich, the bloodsuckers. Stalin continued the killing. Millions of people starved because it turned out that when farmers can't control their property, they don't produce much food.
What? No way. Yeah. You know, the biggest freedom for an individual is the freedom to own, right? To have something that is yours. To have property, have something that truly is yours. All of those other freedoms that are protected are so amazing, but it's that kind of individualism and ownership that is so massive for a lot of people. And when you take that away, what happens? But in this day and age, you get all of these young kids who don't understand what communism was. They didn't grow up in an era of communism. What they do is they go to school, they hear about the greatness of these ideas, and their ideas, because put into practice, they fall apart.
Yet today, many leftist Antifa activists carry communist flags. Some say, well, Russia just didn't do communism right. But when has anyone done it right?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. When has anybody ever done it right? I think it's a fair question to ask. Show me a place that's done it right. You look at China. China's basically turned half the people into slave labor and the other half into some upward mobility, hoping the world doesn't go to hell in a handbasket because they know they're going to be overthrown at any moment. And they realized without capitalism, without some free market principles, they were going to falter and go the way of the Soviet Union long before the Soviet Union went that way.
The Chinese said they would make communism work. Instead, a mob of teenagers called the Red Guard lined up skeptics and executed them. Millions were murdered. Yet even after years of murder, many Chinese people still believe. Look at these people. They are crying, not because they're unhappy. They're crying with joy and excitement just because they got to see their leader, Chairman Mao.
Yeah. How many people died? Think about how many people died. 50, 100 million? Not in wars, just based on the awful ideals of communism. It's 100 years old, and people are still running at socialism as if it's a grandiose, great idea. And like everything else, man, it sounds great on paper, but as we all know, you put those things into practice, what ends up happening? Falls apart. The reason socialism will never work is because human beings. Because human beings will never be autonomous robots that just go about on a day-to-day basis without any worry doing what the government asks. It'll just never, ever, ever happen. Doing what's best for you, it's just not going to happen. Because human beings have emotion. They're going to look over and say, yeah, you know what? You're not doing what I'm doing. I want to do more than you. You're happy where you are. I'm not happy where I am. You've got jealousy. You've got all of these emotions. So human beings, in the end, will be the biggest downfall because you won't have equality because you're not going to get the equality in all of the things that you're going to need. It has to be absolutely perfect. And then you have to have a government that is really going to govern as a partnership, not as rulers. And with communism and socialism, what do you end up getting? You end up getting rulers, not people that want to be your partners. And the hubris for us to think, oh, this right here is going to be better. We're going to do it right is a bunch of crap. And when you hear people say, elect me, I'm going to give you everything in the world. We're going to make our government bigger. We're going to make government your God. That should scare the hell out of you. Because when they want to get it bigger, when they want to grow it bigger, what they're really saying is, eventually, we're going to have to take some of yours. And we're going to have to give it over here. And we're going to have to take some of this, and we're going to have to do that over here. And we're going to have more of an impact and more of a play in your life. And that's never good. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. So we've got tariffs, right? Like, so the tariffs are spectacular now that we're doing, we're going to have tariffs in Mexico because of what's going on down there and the fact that they're complicit in allowing people to come here from different parts of Central America right through their country.
They have to do something about the border. Everyone's coming through Mexico, including drugs, including human trafficking. We're going to stop it. or we're not going to do business, and that's going to be it. It's very simple.
Now, is it going to hurt you? That's the question. And what is it going to hurt?
Chipotle says Mexican tariffs could increase its costs by about $15 million this year alone, and that price increases would eventually be passed along to the consumer. Chipotle, one of the first big multi-billion-dollar companies to come out and say the tariffs will cost customers more money. Avocado prices were already rising, but with tariffs added to them, Chipotle, which sells a lot of guacamole, expects to feel the hit even more than what was expected. Analysts say any restaurant that uses a lot of avocados would feel the hit.
But the big question for Chipotle is it going to cost more for E. coli? Is it? I hope not, right? Because I only want to pay just what I pay, right, to get sick. I don't want to pay more for getting sick. Chad, that's not very nice. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. The Trumpster, right, who many people on the left think he's the king, right? He's named himself the king, and the ruler is visiting with the queen. And for all of the craziness that's going on and how horrible it is and the drama, this, that, and the other, you know what? I watched a little bit of it this morning.
Day one of the state visit started with the president participating in an official welcoming ceremony by the Queen and her husband, Prince Philip, at Buckingham Palace. They then inspected the Guard of Honor. President Trump looking really, really pleased and exchanging some comments with the Queen. They were both all smiles. The optics of this morning seeming to go down very well.
Yeah, so that's well. I think he does okay in these situations. Just wondering what he's going to say, right? Because you know something's going to come out of it. Did you hear what he said? Something's going to come out of it. He's going to say he said something to somebody somewhere, and it's going to leak out. Said something mean about the Queen, or says that not just the Meghan Markle thing. I want to hear you say you have tape, then play the tape. And it's The Sun. If you guys don't know what The Sun is spectacular. That's where you get the Page 3 girls still. I believe they still have Page 3 girls, where when you open it up, it's just like a regular newspaper, but it has all the salaciousness. Picture kind of the New York Post with a little bit of the Washington Times and the Washington Post mixed in with the Inquirer, and then Page 3 has a girl that's topless. Yeah, that's fun. So it's The Sun. So we'll see. I want to see it. But you know something's going to leak out from this. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from all of you. Check out at Chad Benson Show for not only your Twitter, but also your Instagram as well. Hey, your teeth, they move as you get older. I bet you didn't know that. I noticed mine was shifting a little bit. Want to get my teeth fixed? Braces? No, thank you. That's the last thing I'm doing. Then I heard about Candid, clear alternative to braces. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm doing that. Candid has an orthodontist who's licensed in your state. They create a treatment plan for you, even a 3D preview of what the final results look like. So, boom. So you're going to know what your teeth look like, and that's awesome. They only use experienced orthodontists. Other companies use dental professionals. I don't even know what that means. So you get approved for a 3D preview. So you go and look. Right? So I did that. Said, boom, that's what I want. I want to look good, right? I want to look shiny. I want to look amazing. That's what it is. Plus, it's 65% less than braces. So that means you're saving thousands of dollars. You're going to have straighter teeth, and it's going to be faster. In fact, they say 6 months. People I've talked to say it's about 4 months, and your teeth are straight and bright. Super excited. I think you should check them out. It's simple. It is easy. This is what I want you to go. I want you to go to Candid Co. That's candidco.com/Benson. You're going to learn more, and you can get $75 off. That's candidco.com/Benson. Candidco.com/Benson to save $75. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. You can text the program as well, 323-538-CHAD. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say
First Sunday in June at Fort Macon State Park in North Carolina turned frantic after a swimmer was bitten by a shark. Beachgoer Lacey Wharton saw the aftermath.
All of a sudden, everyone started screaming, and I looked to my left. I mean, it looked like she was belly crawling on the beach.
The victim was 17-year-old Paige Winter. Atlantic Beach Deputy Fire Chief Casey Arthur says bystanders rushed into action.
Beachgoers had taken some precaution to manage the bleeding at that point by the time that our folks got there.
Paige was airlifted to a hospital in Greenville. In a statement, her family expressed gratitude for the actions of others that helped save her life.
Yep, you go to nature, kids. Nature will mess you up, as we all know. The potential is there. We go into the ocean. We go into the wild. The potential for something to go wrong, whether it be from animal or our own stupidity, and she was just in the water. It happens, right? It happens. Not a lot you can do. She's in the water. It's just one of those things. By the way, she lost her leg above the knee. She's groggy, but she said she didn't hate the animal. She said sharks are good people, probably on too many drugs because they're not people, but she has no hate for the animal whatsoever. It's just one of those situations that happens, and you got to be careful, especially when you go into certain areas of the ocean at certain times.
The main thing we tell folks to try to avoid attacks of that nature is to make sure you don't swim in the late evening or early morning, because that's typically the feeding time for marine life.
Yeah, especially the bull shark, which is probably what bit her. They are notorious for being just the worst. Most of the attacks, especially here in America, that you see are bull sharks along the southeastern coast. They're awful. They're amazing critter. I mean, they have more testosterone than any other creature on earth, just coursing through its body. But they're angry Smurfs all the time, and they bite, and they don't care, and they're just ferocious. If they were the same size as the great white would stand no chance. That's how bad they are, and they can swim in fresh water. That's also something to think about. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. Did he lose or didn't he lose? I'm going to tell you guys this. Spoiler alert, if you're a big fan of that there guy that was on the old Jeopardy, James Holzhauer, looks like he lost on an answer he got right, just didn't seem to bet enough, and he's just short of the record, which will make his daughter happy, because apparently his daughter didn't want him to lose, but did want him to lose, but didn't want him to lose, and was going to be upset about it. But then he said, well, don't worry, when I lose, we'll throw a massive party. So she then wanted him to lose. Because, that's what kids want, massive party. Nothing wrong with that. Throw that thing out there, kids. Massive party! Now what's the next step? I was thinking about this. Say, what? What do you mean next step? Because he's a gambler, right? But baseball teams have been looking at him left, right, and center. And I have a feeling he's going to land in the front office sooner rather than later of a Major League Baseball team in the coming few months. Don't be surprised. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Check us out on the old Instagram as well. And check out the Facebook page. Like us over there. The Chad Benson Show. It is that there Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
As he touched down in London for his 3-day state visit, the president went on a Twitter attack against London Mayor Sadiq Khan, Trump calling Khan a, quote, stone-cold loser who has been, quote, foolishly nasty to the visiting president of the United States. Trump's comments are a response to a scathing op-ed Khan wrote in the British newspaper The Guardian, where the mayor likens Trump's actions to that of European dictators of the early 20th century. Khan then asked exiting Prime Minister Theresa May to issue a powerful rejection, not of the U.S., but of President Trump.
Trump hanging out with the Queen. Sadiq Khan is very interesting. They call it Londistan now. I don't know if you guys saw that John Cleese is moving out of, I think he's moving to Jamaica, somewhere like that, right? And he said that, people got mad. You're a racist, you're a horrible person. He's like, yeah, this isn't Britain anymore. This isn't Britain. No, this is Britain. This isn't Britain at all. And people, oh my God, you're racist. And look, London's a very liberal city. I lived there. I loved it. It is, but it's like a lot of big cities, very liberal, very diverse, but also has its pockets of its things, right? I mean, you go there. It's so funny. We always talk about how diverse it is when a lot of stuff isn't diverse. You don't live next door to each other, right? You know, and it's not this super diversity that everybody thinks of. But it is liberal. And he and Trump, Sadiq Khan, who's the mayor, first Muslim mayor, got to make sure you point that out, of a major city. And so that was a big deal. And Trump and him have gone back on numerous occasions. And this time Trump came out and he responded to, it wasn't just the op-ed, but he also spoke. And when you stop comparing Trump to dictators, he's not a dictator. You want to know how I know he's not a dictator? Because you say something, you still going to go on the news the next day and say something. If he was a true dictator, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, they'd all be gone. They'd all be gone. I don't like his attitude. I don't like the way he talks at times. I think a lot of his stuff is just, it's ridiculous, and I think it's beneath the office itself. But when you say, oh, he's a dictator, slow your roll.
Some of the things Donald Trump has done over the last 2-3 years, Londoners find abhorrent and offensive, rolling back the reproductive rights of women.
First of all, those are states' issues. Let's get that correct, Sadiq. Those have been state issues. They've not been issues directly with him. Has he put conservative judges on the court? Yes, he has. But they've not ruled on anything. Those have been states' issues that have taken that up. But we're not here for anything more than just saying the things we're going to say.
Separating children from their parents on the Mexican border, introducing a ban on Muslim-majority countries, standing up and defending white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and anti-Semites in...
All right, so let's talk about a few of those. The separation thing, that's on him. I blame Trump on that. That's on him. That was a bad thing. But we also have a messed up system that's not getting anywhere close to being done. The standing up and defending people, you'll have this debate till the end of time, what he said, what he didn't say, how things are picked apart. He could have been more forceful. He said stupid things, but at the same time, a lot of that stuff was so picked apart and so cherry-picked. You know it and I know it. And as far as the ban goes, it wasn't a ban. It was a moratorium on we don't know who's coming here, and we think we should have every right to know and govern our borders the way we should. Unfortunately, we don't live in a world where the reality is actually talked about. It's just whatever can fit the narrative at that moment in time that causes people to freak out. And when it comes to anti-Semitism, should the Democrats, you got some issues over there on that side.
Charlottesville, amplifying messages from racists in this country, walking away from the Paris Climate Accord, and I could go on.
Well, please do, Sadiq. And by the way, I'm totally fine with walking away with the Paris Climate Accord. Not that I don't want to do better for the environment. I do. But when I look at something like that, I realize it's not worth the paper it's written on. The people that do sign up for that, they know exactly. China knows exactly what it's going to do. It's going to go back and continue to do the same thing over and over, will be held accountable, and very few people else will be held accountable, if at all. And we're the ones who've always got to make the biggest sacrifice. You don't like Trump. I get it. Not going to sit here. Don't care if you do or don't. Right? I don't like Trump the person. I got to be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of Trump the person. I like some of the things Trump the president has done, and I haven't liked some of the things Trump the president has done. But he's my president, and if you're going to attack him, I'm going to attack you back. Right? And you're going to get attacked back. There you go. Is what it is. It is what it is when it comes to this. And the British and us have a special bond, a real bond that is unlike anything else. And having lived there off and on for a decade, I still think of myself partly as British. I used to tell everybody, well, like, who would you root for? I said, well, if it was the Olympics, right? If it was the World Cup, whatever it is, I'm an American through and through. But if it was England versus somebody else, I'm English. I'm English as they come, mate. I'm English as they come. The three lions, right? But we have this special bond, and Trump's not going to break it. He's not going to destroy it. That is not going to happen. God, the ridiculous. He's just like these 20th century dictators. Shut up. Shut up. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely foolish to say something like that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. To impeach or not to impeach, Nancy?
Calls for impeachment directed at House Speaker Nancy Pelosi growing louder.
As I told you, this is like coming home for me.
The California Democrats with the power to begin impeachment proceedings so far hasn't given an inch.
President Trump will be held accountable for his actions.
Really? Willie? I mean, you got to ask yourself the question, is that really it? And Nancy walks this fine line of having to actually try to throw enough red meat at the people in her party to keep them. There's only 51 of the 253, I think, that are talking about impeachment. So you're looking at what, 20%? And depending on where you're looking when it comes to actual numbers in the population, how many people want it? This is a CNN poll here.
We have some new numbers which show where the American people are in impeachment. 41% now say they favor impeachment, 54% against. That's slightly up, John, since April. A slight change, not huge, but maybe some movement.
There seems to be some movement. What's really extraordinary is that the percentage of people who want him impeached is almost equivalent to his job approval rating. I mean, this is a deeply polarizing president and country.
Yes, and he is. He is deeply polarizing. We talked about it and continue to talk about the fact that there is no middle ground with Trump. There is zero middle ground with Trump. With Trump, you either love him or you hate him. Very few people in the middle have very few people. And part of that is because we don't know how to compartmentalize things. We can look at somebody and say, all right, well, the job he or she is doing is fine, but I can separate the person from the job. We don't have that because we are so vested now in politics because of our tribalism. But he is polarizing. He's very polarizing. And he's going to continue to be that way. And I think that the reality is the polarization of politics now is going to be that way going forward because of the fact that we have a chance for everybody to have a voice. Now, whether or not they're going to impeach, I don't know. Nancy, and I've been saying this, man, the best thing that can happen to him is impeachment. She was on with Jimmy Kimmel.
That's why we need you to get in there and to take care of this and just do something to these guys.
I think the president wants us to impeach him.
You think he wants us to impeach him?
Well, he knows it's not a good idea to be impeached, but the silver lining for him is then he believes that he would be exonerated by the United States Senate.
Yeah. And other things would come out, and it could potentially be ugly for both sides, and he could be a martyr, and people are going to go, it was a witch hunt. And you guys went too far, and you knew it wasn't going to happen, and you knew they were going to lose in the Senate, but you guys still pushed it forward, and it does look like an overreach, and now we feel sorry for the guy. And you got to ask yourself, is that what you want? Is that what you want? If I'm Trump, I'm worried about a few things. First and foremost, I'm worried about the economy. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the economy. Because if the economy dies, no matter how much they even exonerate him if there is impeachment, it's still going to be a tough road. If the economy stays strong, and there are some people out there predicting the economy is going to start taking a slow turn and the world economy is slowing down. Now you've got tariffs. But if the economy stays strong, I'm good. I'm absolutely good from here on out if the economy stays strong. And if they impeach me, I'm doubly good.
But the yield curve, which is like the difference between short-term and long-term interest rates, is doing something that it only usually does before recessions. But all the other economic data are really strong. And so I think that the economists who are thinking that there's a recession signal going off or talking about that are looking at the models based off the yield curve. My view is that the interest rates right now all around the world are being set by quantitative easing and Europe's in recession, and so they've got a deflationary risk, and so that the interest rate signal is particularly inappropriate to use for the U.S. right now. The very best indicator of recession is something that's developed by an economist named Marceli Chauvet at the University of California, and her thing is available at the St. Louis Fed website. And right now that says the probability of recession right now is about 0.
Well, 0, and that's a good thing. That is a good. If zero is really it, and people feel strong about the economy, because in the end, so much of it is based on our belief on whether or not the economy's bad. If that is real, then Trump has a big smile on his face. If it goes south, then he has got some real issues here. And he's got to worry about the public side of it as well. Because in the end, it's not going to be Nancy. It's going to be the public that decides what happens as far as impeachment. Because if that changes from 41% don't want impeachment to 54% do, that's when the worry comes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Guys are terrible at taking care of themselves. How do I know? Because I'm a guy. So, like, I hurt my toe bad last week. Got runner's toe really bad. And I didn't want to do anything. And finally I did, I got to do something about this because it was tough. I'm like, we just don't do things. Because we're just, rub some dirt on it, we'll be better. Same thing with ED, right? 70% of men don't even go and get it checked. They're like, I don't want to. Ego, embarrassment, whatever it is. Well, guess what? Roman created an easy way to get checked out by a doctor, get treated for ED online. One-stop shop, U.S. licensed physician, diagnose ED and ship medication right to your door. And right now they're offering my listeners a free online visit. You go to GetRoman.com/Benson. You complete a dynamic online visit right there. You chat with the doctor. So you don't have to worry about the waiting rooms, the face-to-face, awkward conversations, uncomfortable trips to the pharmacy. Because if they say, yeah, we're going to send you medicine, they send it in a discreet, unmarked package right to your door. Free online visit right now. Don't be one of those 70%. Go to GetRoman.com/Benson. 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 It's the Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
What do people who have spent a lot of time close to the president think of him?
They think he is vile and ludicrous.
Ludicrous?
Ludicrous.
What do you mean by that word?
I mean, there's no logic to what he does. There's no way to anticipate what he's going to do. Often what he ends up doing defies logic, defies everybody's expectations, defies explanation.
Michael Wolff's got a new book out. Luda! He's just like Ludacris? That's awesome. Our president's like Ludacris. Well, he's got a new book out, and of course he's going to come after Trump. And I've said this, and I continue, man. Trump is an industry himself, isn't he? How many of these people come out and the industry of Trump is so massive when it comes to all of the craziness that surrounds him, and then the people go and write a book. I mean, you work there 6 months or a year, you see a bunch of stuff, you leave, you get a 6 or 7 figure book deal, and it doesn't even matter if your book sells. You're going to get all the press in the world, especially if you're negative towards the president. Like, if you're negative towards the president, you're going to get all of the stuff that you could dream of as far as publicity. It's a good gig if you can get it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So boxing over the weekend saw a new heavyweight champion crowned. And I tell you what, Ruiz Jr., if you've not seen this guy, Google him. He is, Teddy Atlas said he set physical fitness back 100 years, and Jack LaLanne is rolling around in his grave because he's about 6'1" and he's about 275 pounds, and he's not all, but he's fit. It's weird because he's really fit, but he's the first Mexican heavyweight champion, and he was thrilled because he wasn't supposed to win over the weekend. It was just supposed to be another thing. Josh was going to knock this guy out, and we're going to move on to the big fight that everybody wants to see, and that did not happen.
You know what? I just want to thank God, man. This wouldn't have been possible. And all this hard work, especially my team, my coach, we've been working really hard, man, really hard. And I wanted to prove everybody wrong, all the doubters thinking that I was going to lose in the third round, first round. I was looking at comments as well. But what do you know, man? I'm the first Mexican heavyweight champion of the world.
Born in Imperial, California, and he got knocked down, got up, then knocked Joshua down twice. And again, you have to see the guy because you're like, wait, what? Because I was just talking to one of our guys here who's a huge boxer himself. at one time, and he and I were chatting, and I said, Pablo, I said, people forget this guy's a boxer. Despite the fact that he looks like Butterbean, right? He's a boxer, and he just bid his time. And even though he's big and he eats a Snickers bar before every fight, he's just chilling and waiting.
Yes, I was waiting for him to open up. I wanted to break him down a little bit more, work the body. He hits really hard, man. He hits pretty hard, and I just needed to be smart. I needed to be smart in there. I thought he opened up too much where I could counter him.
And he did, and he knocked him out. And it's just so funny because there's a picture of him jumping in the air, and it's a whoa. It's just like, whoa! That's the heavyweight champ of the world. Yeah, but he's fit. He's big and he's fit. Because he can go. Try boxing for 3 rounds. I box 1 or 2 days a week, and I go out and I tell you what, just try jumping rope or running around for 3 minutes punching, and you'll find out that, wow, this is something totally different. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hank Heaney, he said something wrong, but he was right. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The main organized protest is expected for tomorrow. Judging by several Facebook groups that have been organized, I think we can expect a pretty large number of people, including people from all corners of the UK, a lot of them coming down to London specifically to protest on Tuesday afternoon. They'll be gathered outside Westminster.
Yeah, so lots of protesting going on. Trump is visiting the Queen, and it's a state visit indeed. Oh, very nice, very nice. So, and of course, there's not a lot of a love lost between Trump and a few of the people over there. And apparently he called Meghan Markle nasty. And they've got it on tape. If that's true, that's an awful thing. It's ridiculous. It's beneath him. It's beneath the office. And she's our princess, right? She's our American princess. So, and he even said, though, well, I hope she's, it's good to have an American princess, and I think she'll do an excellent job. And I don't know if he was calling, she said some stuff about him that, the comments that she said were nasty or referred to her as nasty. Either way, this is where you don't wade into stuff. Now, if you want to get into it with the London mayor, Sadiq Khan, go ahead, knock yourself out. He's a big boy. He throws as good as punch as anybody else, and he wanted to get involved. I doubt they're going to meet, which is totally fine. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But we've got a very special relationship with the British, and he's meeting the Queen. It's a big state affair to celebrate the 75th anniversary of D-Day and all of this stuff. And but it gets made bigger than it is. Like today, that there's questions and answer about, hey, what about this and what about that? And they're even talking to, Jared Kushner, and they're asking him questions. It's like that has nothing to do with what's going on. But it doesn't matter. Because it's all about creating craziness, right? And creating drama. It's reality television. And Trump creates just as much of it on his, he shoots himself in the foot as much as anybody else when it comes to this. But I also think he thrives on these kind of things. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So Hank Haney, if you don't know who he is, Hank Haney is he was Tiger's coach. He's one of the biggest coaches in golf in the world. He has a show on Sirius Golf Channel. I don't know which one it is. But he last week was asked about the Women's U.S. Open, and he said something that, of course, caused controversy and was deemed racist.
74th U.S. Women's Open. Yeah.
I'm going to predict a Korean.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a pretty safe bet.
That's going to be my prediction.
Okay. So what is your prediction?
I couldn't name you like 6 players on the LPGA Tour.
Yeah.
Nah, maybe I could. I don't know. Well, I'd go with Lee. If I didn't have to name a first name, I'd get a bunch of them right. But
You're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got 6 Lees.
Honestly, Michelle Wee's hurt. I mean, she's not. I don't know many, but.
And so for that, he was suspended and probably not going to come back because it was racist and insensitive. And how dare he say something like that? By the way, the winner, Ali from North Korea. I'm from South Korea, not North Korea. Ali. That's right. Ali from South Korea won. Then he doubled down. See, I told you. Right? And in this day and age, look, he was joking. Oh, but it's racist. Not racist. The reality is that I watch golf. I love golf. Watch golf this weekend. Michelle Wee, Lexi Thompson. I'll tell you why we know Lexi Thompson. Is she a good golfer? Yeah, she's a great golfer. Is she hot? She's kind of hot. Right? She's kind of hot. Does that help? Absolutely. It does. It does. Helps tremendously. You got to sell what you sell. There's a reason that female tennis players have a much bigger following and don't struggle like the LPGA, right? It's because what? It's because some of them are hot and they use their sexiness in ways that the LPGA doesn't. Oh, but Chad, that's what? That's reality. Again, best soccer player in the world, Messi and Ronaldo. Who is arguably the most popular of the two? We can debate who's a better player, but who's more popular? It's simple. It's Ronaldo. Why? Because he uses his sex appeal. He does. He uses his sex appeal. And it works. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Can't talk about that, though. That's wrong. A few years ago, LPGA said, look, we have all of these Koreans and several Chinese players, and they need to learn how to speak English. So when they have the big days on Monday and Tuesday, when the sponsors come out and they play a round of golf, that you're able to chat with them, and it's a good thing. And everybody's like, that's a racist thing. And you're like, well, then don't grow your sport. Don't understand what it's all about. You got to sell what you sell, right? Look at sports today. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Steph Curry or James Harden, or if it's Tom Brady, right? All of them have some sort of appeal in some way, shape, or form that they're using outside of it. But if you say to the women, hey, you should probably do the same kind of thing. Oh, no, that's wrong. No, it's just the reality of it all. You want to grow it? Grow it. But he was right. And he doubled down on it, by the way. He's like, told you. I told you so. I mean, at that point in time, you're done, right? You're fired probably anyways. But he was right, and they're probably going, oh, God, he was totally right. That probably pissed him off more than anything. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Kirsten Gillibrand had her day on Fox, and it was very interesting last night. Definitely very interesting. And Chris Wallace, and I thought they were very fair to her, and they got into it a little bit later on, and because she started to criticize Fox, and he's like, hey, why don't we settle down? We've been more than fair to you, and we gave you an hour here. So let's not take it out. But he asked her some very interesting questions about this world that we live in of intersectionality and whatnot.
But in the context of there are an awful lot of people in your party who are pushing socialism. And in fact, John Hickenlooper, the very distinguished former governor of Colorado, spoke at the California State Democratic Convention yesterday and said socialism is not the answer. And guess what? He got booed.
Yes, he did. He got booed big time. And he just kind of sat there and laughed. Why? Because socialism is sane. I think we all know that. Oh, we can do it better. It's a 100-year anniversary of communism and whatnot. But he had some real questions about this. Again, we have a battle going on inside the Democratic Party for the far left and the centrist, common sense Democratic voter.
Okay, so there's a lot of confusion. There's a big difference between capitalism and greed. And that's where this divide has begun.
So it's capitalism and greed. There's a huge difference between capitalism and greed. Again, the battle of socialism, it's coming. And the Republicans have to be loving every second of it. Because the thing is, if you have to explain away your ideas of socialism, then it's like explaining a joke. You missed. It doesn't work. So what the Democrats are dealing with the Green New Deal and all these kind of things, is this intersectionality of the world. And intersectionality is a word you're going to hear more and more. And, they asked her serious questions about, hey, explain some of this stuff to us.
Last December, you tweeted something, and I want to put it up on the screen and get you to explain it to us. You tweeted this: our future is female, intersectional, powered by our belief in one another.
All right, intersectional. What is intersectionality? What exactly is intersectionality? I think you'll find this to be interesting.
Good questions. Really good questions,
I'm glad I got one.
People want to know. They want to know this all the time.
All right, but what do you mean first our future is female?
So what I mean by our future is female is that we want more women's voices heard. I was so inspired by the 2018 election. Those 120 women who ran in the red and purple places across the country broke through. Our first 2 Muslim American women, our first 2 Native American women, young women, diverse women. And so we want women to have a seat at the table.
What about men?
They're already there. Do you not know?
She's right. Look, she's absolutely right. Just 110%. She's right. Men are already there. So get over yourself and stop worrying about it. Although the problem I have with a lot of this stuff is that men are always the problem with everything. Right. Last week, Meryl Streep came out and essentially said, it's a bunch of crap calling boys toxic, this toxic masculinity and blaming stuff. I'm raising an 8-year-old, soon to be 9 in a couple weeks. And, he's going to grow up in a world where a lot of things are thrown at him. And the sins of the father and the grandfather and the great-grandfather are going to work their way down for something he didn't do. And his generation is going to be those woke generation, except for the generation that's coming after him. But it's intersectionality that ties everything together here in this wackiness.
So what intersectional means to me is when you are discriminated against in more than one way. So, for example, a black woman. She's discriminated on the basis of racism, and she's discriminated on the basis of sexism. Someone from the disability community is also discriminated on the basis of that. And so someone in the LGBT community. So if you're a woman, LGBT, and black, you are discriminated 3 ways.
And there is intersectionality explained perfectly. It's the hierarchy of victimhood. Because even in victimhood, there's hierarchy. So Pete Buttigieg is a white male, so automatically he's got a bunch of checks against him. But he's gay, so he gets one good check for him. Right? What Kamala Harris is a person of color. And she's a female and identifies as such. She's not handicapped and she's not a lesbian, so there's 2 things she misses, but she has 2 extra points comparatively to the one over here. And it's the oppression Olympics. It's this kind of, the hierarchy of certain things. And that's where this comes into. In that everybody in some way, shape, or form is an oppressor. And the best thing for you to be right now is oppressed based on some sort of hierarchy form of dynamics of, hey, guess what? You're a black female who is a lesbian who happens to be handicapped. You should automatically rise to the top of the top of the top. And it's insanity. It is. Oh, my God. But she explained it perfectly there. Like here's the checkpoints. Look at the super check she gets. She should get a trophy because she's black, she's lesbian, and she's handicapped. So there's 3 things right there that are against her. I'm like, oh, okay. And that's the victimhood oppression Olympics. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hey, Wounded Paw. Amazing organization I'm working with. I don't care if you're on the right, on the left, if you're independent. These people have put together an organization that is incredible. They go into kill facilities. They identify dogs, and then they transfer them from shelter dogs to service dogs for our veterans, first responders, and their family. 20 veterans a day we lose to suicide. But with your help, we're going to change a lot of that. And what they're looking for is your extra vehicle. Right? I don't care what it is. It could be you got a car, an RV, a truck, a boat. You don't use any of them. They've been in storage. You're thinking about selling them. Donate them to Wounded Paw. It's simple and easy. Go to woundedpaw.org or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729. It's a tax-deductible gift. And what they're going to do is you're not only going to save a paw, you're going to save a life. It is incredible. Plus, they take cash donations as well. Some of you don't have a car, but you want to throw them $20. Please do. They're amazing. 844-678-4PAW. 844-678-4PAW. Or go to woundedpaw.org. That's woundedpaw.org. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Shark attack, and did he or didn't he break the record? Wait till you hear this. Straight ahead, Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Over to James now. He had 23,400, and his response was correct. His wager, a modest one for the first time. That takes him to 24,799. So, Emma, it's up to you. If you came up with a correct response, you're going to be the new Jeopardy champion. Did you? You did. What did you wager? Oh, gosh. 20,000. What a payday. 46,801.
James Holzhauer is done as champion, and he fell just short, like 15 grand or something like that, from being the all-time champion. So, wow. Now, some people are saying he did it on purpose because his daughter wanted him to lose, because he said, look, when I lose, because she was sick and tired of winning, because he said, look, when I lose and I'm done, we're going to throw a huge party. And so she's been wanting him to lose. But he is still, he came short. But overall, even though he had 2 million plus of winnings, his winnings were bigger compared to Ken Jennings as far as per day average. But he is no longer the champion of Jeopardy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It's summertime. People heading to the beach. Watch out.
The first Sunday in June at Fort Macon State Park in North Carolina turned frantic after a swimmer was bitten by a shark. Beachgoer Lacey Wharton saw the aftermath.
All of a sudden, everyone started screaming, and I looked to my left. I mean, it looked like she was belly crawling on the beach.
The victim was 17-year-old Paige Winter. Atlantic Beach Deputy Fire Chief Casey Arthur says bystanders rushed into action.
Beachgoers had taken some precaution to manage the bleeding at that point by the time that our folks got there.
Paige was airlifted to a hospital in Greenville. In a statement, her family expressed gratitude for the actions of others that helped save her life.
Yep, she's fine, but this is what happens. We get more and more people going to the beach, and the good chance it was a bull shark. Lots of bull sharks in around there. Bull sharks are known to be, quite frankly, very aggressive. They've got more testosterone than even a bull rhino. And they're angry all the time. They're swimming around, pissed off at the world, and they'll bite anything they possibly can. And so that's probably what it was. And, but the more we go in the water, and we're going in the water more and more, it's still one of those things where the chances of you being bitten by a shark are slim to none, right? Slim to none. And if you really want to make sure that you don't have a chance of being bit by a shark, then what you do is you go into a situation where you don't go in early in the morning or at dusk in a cloudy area, and you'll be fine. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. She's apologizing, and she should be.
I just want to apologize.
Amanda Eller is lucky to be alive after being lost for more than 2 weeks in a forest in Maui. She says she's sorry for putting all those who had to search for her in harm's way.
I was irresponsible.
She says her intention was to go on a 3-mile run. She left her cell phone and water bottle in her car.
I was naive to head out into the woods that day in the way that I did.
After she got disoriented and lost, she had to drink river water and eat berries and moths to survive.
Yeah, she lost like 15 pounds. And my whole thought is, I still don't know if I buy all of this. So she didn't take her phone with her, right? And she's like, well, I should. What I
would say is, obviously, I should have had a cell phone with me.
Yeah.
There's GPS locator on there.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we carry them all the time.
Yeah.
Obviously. It's like you could go for a hike by yourself. It's no big deal. Just like take a cell phone, take some water, I just thought I was going for a short little jaunt of like a run and then back to my car.
But you live there, so you should know this. And I don't know if I buy all of these things. And I know she had a broken leg and all these. I just don't know if I buy everything. Sorry. And that's part of me in this situation is skeptical because I see all the crap that goes on. And we always talk about all this, I don't know if it's real or not. That's just because everything turns out to have some sort of twist that we didn't know about, right? Jussie Smollett, the lunch lady who got fired for helping a kid only to find out she'd been giving food away to this kid and several others for a long time. So there's always something. And who does that? Now's the time I'm not taking my cell phone. Yeah. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Trump, state visit, the UK. Find out. Interesting. Going to hang out tomorrow with Theresa May at 10 Downing Street. But here's your useless fact of the day. Trump is there celebrating the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Do you realize that D really means absolutely nothing? Just means nothing. Not like VE Day or VJ Day. It just means nothing. Interesting, huh? I think so. Have a great rest of your day. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.